Hello, guys. So, for this discussion board, we are talking about acculturation. So, when a person is acquiring or transitioning from one culture to another, this is a big transformation process. So, there are many factors involved, such as the person's emotions, their belief, their values, their customs, because this is a way of living. So, researchers have come up with a couple of views to best explain the process of acculturation. So the first one will be undimensional process. This refers to the individual moving towards the dominant group. So he's giving up all the traditional ways. So this approach generates a sense of feeling left out by the person, and also it creates a marginal person. This is because the person is trying to adapt to the new culture, but at the same time, he's trying to put aside or no longer put in practice what identifies him as a member of the old cultural group. So the person stays in a limbo. They call it a limbo just because the person is caught up in between two cultures. So they cannot go back to their old traditional ways, and they have to acquire the new culture, which is not fully accepting of them just because of their skin color. It could be the situation. So the person starts experiencing feelings of inferiority. They feel they're not accepted, so they try to fit in. So the other view is called multidimensional, and this approach refers to the person being able to live and normally function effectively in both cultures. So this person has no problem with combining the two cultures together and being able to function normal as a person. So the third view will be that the third view suggests is that the effect of acculturation can be measured by the person, what the person has gained or lost through acculturation. So, in my opinion, I see acculturation from a multidimensional point of view. So, the reason why is because I believe a person can do acquire two cultures at the same time and be able to function effectively within both cultures. So, for example, as a Hispanic who came to the U.S. at the age of 18, my cultural values were embedded in me. And I was already well formed as a Hispanic and as a person from the Caribbean. So once I came here, I had to adapt to the new environment, to the new culture, to their customs, and to their values. So that didn't cost for me to give up all my traditional values, but what I did was I put together both cultures and I started practicing some things from my old culture and some things from my new culture. So it was, in a sense, a new lifestyle and a new culture for me, and I had no problem by putting them together. So, like I said, I still used to practice some aspect of my traditional culture, but I also was practicing some aspect of the new culture. So, for example, my Hispanic culture has the custom of making a traditional dessert on Easter. So, this is called habichuelas con dulce, and that's something that I know that we do this like since I was a little girl. I see this in my family, and it's a tradition of Dominican people. So one thing that I have acquired, and I still do this, even though I'm no longer living in the Dominican Republic, I still do this type of things. So one thing that I have acquired from the American culture is the celebration of Thanksgiving and July 4th. So when I used to live in Dominican Republic, we had knowledge of Thanksgiving, but we never celebrated just because that was not part of our culture. And also July 4th. So July 4th was something that we acquired and we celebrate it every year now. So it's like it's part of my culture now. So these are my examples of acculturation. However, even though I was able to keep up with both cultures in a sense, I now practice more things from the American culture than from my Hispanic culture. So in a sense, my Hispanic culture has been fade out a little bit, and the things that I used to do over there, I no longer do it here, and I have acquired more American customs and values. So now, from a Christian perspective, I see acculturation differently. For example, I am Christian now, but growing up, I came from a Catholic family, so we used to practice Catholicism. So it was a lifestyle. It was a way of me identifying myself. So, for example, as a Catholic, I used to practice their costumes, their traditions, their rituals, and all type of belief. Like, for example, they believe in Virgin Mary doing miracles and saints and stuff like that. But once I converted to Christianity, I stopped those practices just because I knew that the new culture that I was acquiring, which was Christianity, didn't allow me to. It not didn't allow me to. It was something that it wasn't going with it. I was doing things without understanding. I was doing things just because my family used to do it, and that's the way people acquire culture. Sometimes they don't have an understanding of the culture, and they just practice it or they just follow it just because it's something that has been passed on from generations. So once I started having an understanding of what Christianity was and what Catholicism was, I started to value more my new culture. So I stopped doing those practices from my old culture, my old um, traditional way, and I started implementing customs of my new culture, which was Christianity. So, however, when I was in the process of transitioning, I'm not gonna lie to you, there were things that were difficult for me to put aside of my old traditional ways, just because it was something that I used to practice for so many years that once I started being involved in Christianity, I had to leave those things and put aside those things to acquire the new lifestyle. But even though it was a little bit difficult, it in a couple of months I was okay, but not practicing anymore Catholicism and not going with their old values and old customs. So this is my discussion board for this week. I hope you guys like it and you guys comment on it. Thank you.